Not gonna lie, I've been pretty depressed all week ever since Super Tuesday kind of came together against Bernie at the last minute. I mean, it's not over. We got to fight. He can still win, but it's certainly an uphill battle compared to where we were. I mean, I'm just really scared. I mean, he's got those 6 states later today, and I'm just praying for a miracle that it all works out. This is you know, curse of being an empath, I guess. I'm not so concerned about me. It's really the state of the world. It's everybody else that I'm concerned about. Look, this is not like your favorite sports team or America's Got Talent or something like that. No, this is like people are dying. People's lives are dependent on this. The planet's dependent on this. This election is so important. Um, some people might get mad at me for saying this, but honestly, if Biden's a nominee, I cannot vote for him. I'm not going to vote for him. I hate Trump totally, but the establishment's got to learn like Republican policies, Republican behavior is not acceptable just because you have a D next to your name. I mean, we got to send a message at some point. It's like, and I've been in disagreements with, boomer friends and stuff, but it's like, oh, how dare we have standards? How dare we care about policy more than anything when the planet's on fire, when people are hurting really badly in America? I mean, so many people are, one car problem, one hospital bill, one medical bill, one unexpected thing away from homelessness or bankruptcy or what have you, living paycheck to paycheck. So yeah, and look, and don't get me wrong. I mean, like I like a lot of boomers. I have a lot of boomer friends. I love the music and that era and all that. And certainly, I mean, everybody's different. There's a lot of people are individuals. I mean, I never want to lump everyone all together. But, keep it real. There are more than a few problematic ones that could use a little empathy too. I mean, ones that maybe they think, hey, but by the time that the worst effects of climate change happen, I'm going to be either dead or super old. Say, it's just Green New Deal, whatever. It's not that important to me. Or I'm retired or nearly retired, so, raising the minimum wage or, it's not high on my list of concerns. Or I've already got Social Security and Medicare, so Medicare for all is not that important to me. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons that people think that way, but it's just that's what we got to change. Is like this isn't even so much about Bernie himself. It's really just why it's so important to all of us. And lots of times too, I mean, like people will try to gaslight us or say things that we don't believe. I mean, you know, like we're not talking about equal outcomes. We're not saying, oh, the janitor should make as much as the CEO, or that, I don't like I make money from capitalism. I don't, I've sold stuff and I perform on stage and stuff. Most of us, like Bernie doesn't believe in that. I don't believe in that. Most of his supporters don't believe in that. We're just talking about a mixed market economy like Scandinavia has. That's it. I mean, just making it a little more freaking equitable for people that got, some people just got dealt a shitty hand in life. I mean, it's not their fault. I mean, the irony is, I mean, like people try to paint him as being like this communist. He's so far left. The irony is, like in Europe, he's a centrist. He's a moderate. He's a total middle of the road, no big deal. I mean, there's people that are way to the left of him. It's just that we're so conditioned to believe. I mean, like the political spectrum in the U.S. is so far to the right that we're just so conditioned to believe that that's that narrow scope that it exists in, that's as far as it'll go. But that's when you really look at how the rest of the world operates, it's really not fair to the, again, like I said, to the people that didn't get dealt the best hand in life. And I'm kind of getting off into the weeds here, but that's really the main focus, the main point that I want to try to get across here. Well, I'll just say this: if you have a family that loves you unconditionally. It's like who's always got your back, and no matter what, you've always got a place to turn to. You're way ahead of the curve because some of us don't have that. Some of us don't have families at all, or perhaps worse, toxic families. So if you have that built-in basis of support, that means the world to some. I mean, some people that have it take it for granted, but for those of us that don't, I mean, friends mean everything because in that case, friends are your family. It's the closest thing you sometimes have to one. Well, that, and I think that's also why art, works by celebrities or music or what have you, or poetry, why that's, and also for, I'm kind of getting off in the weeds again, but that's why, like, for so many of us, that speaks so highly to us. If we don't, like I said, if we don't have, some of us don't have families that feel that way about us, then we seek it anywhere we can. But the point that I'm trying to make here is like, I'll use single moms as an example, just because I personally happen to know a lot of them. I mean, look, I don't have a single parental bone in my body, but it's like you don't have to want to be a parent yourself to want kids to be happy, to care about them. But let's just take for this example, like a single mom who's working like two jobs, three jobs, like retail or food service or hospitality, what have you, who's just making kind of the bare minimum, struggling to able to get by, but kind of struggling, and and maybe she wants to go back to school or to go try to jump the gun and get like a better job, more of a career, but she can't because she's tied to the health insurance. That even if it's shitty health insurance, it's better than nothing at wherever she's working at the time, and she can't risk it because of her kids and so many people are stuck because of the system that we have. Like I said, if healthcare for all was guaranteed and you didn't have to worry about going bankrupt if like one thing goes wrong in your life, that would free up so many people to go out and pursue their dreams, to take more risks, to take more chances, and ironic, that would be better for capitalism too. I mean, if you think about that, if people had more money to spend, I mean, and like I said, why should that single mom in this hypothetical scenario, why should she have to suffer? Just, and if your response to that is, well, she should have worked harder, or should have thought about it before she had kids, or if that's your response to that, then you're missing the broader picture. You're missing a certain level of empathy, and it's like, and I get that. Look, I get it. There's going to be people that are going to think that way. There's nothing I'm going to say or anyone else is going to say that's going to change some of these people's minds. I get that. And I expect that kind of thought from Republicans, that when people that purport themselves to be liberal, start believing that way, I mean, that's scary. I mean, we're the ones that are supposed to be able to think outside the box and to have empathy and to think beyond just our own situations in life. And look, I'll even go a step further. I'll concede on one thing. Let's just say that even if all of the social safety programs that Bernie's pushing for, even if we had all that, and even if people were free to go out and pursue their dream, are there going to be some people that are just going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't have like that burning passion in life, or maybe it's like, hey, I'm working as a server or what have you, and it's like, hey, that's cool with me. That's all I really need out of life. I'm cool with it. There's going to be some people that's all that's as far as they're going to go. Okay, so what? They're still a freaking human being with feelings and emotions and dreams and desires. So you're saying that person deserves to live in like anxiety? That person deserves to struggle living paycheck to paycheck just because you don't think they're smart enough or that they're good enough or that they're on your level? That's that's just a horrible kind of elitism. I mean, it's like you don't. I'm not saying you have to like them, or not saying you have to be their friend or anything like that, but just like I said, some people aren't lucky enough to. And look, and that exists on a spectrum. I mean, and just for the record, I've been rich, I've been poor, and I've been in the middle like I am right now. So technically, I could argue from any side of it if I wanted. That's not the point, though. And listen, last but not least, if I could say anything to like a super wealthy person, that's okay. Under a Bernie presidency, yeah, maybe you'll make a little less money. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be like still very rich. I mean, he might just because he says, casually, billionaires shouldn't exist. It doesn't mean any of his policies are actually prohibiting billionaires from existing. You'll still exist and you'll still be very rich. You don't have to worry about that at all. But it just means looking at the broader picture, looking besides just yourself, you're going to leave a more equitable, fairer world for the generations that come after you. I mean, even with like speaking with my age group, even with millennials, I mean, even we're pushing, we got to be approaching middle age now. I mean, the Zoomers aren't even going to have that. I mean, if you're not going to have empathy just think, even if you don't have grandkids, just think about that. And if you do have them, I mean, is that the kind of world you want to leave them?